All right, I'm going to give you a brief overview of what the video information is going to be about. What I'm going to teach you is the number one topic brokers are asking me to help you as the seller understand. Now, as a serial entrepreneur myself, I know what it's like after due diligence to have the buyer come back and make a formal presentation of an offer. And in that offer is the structure of a deal and terms in the deal that frankly were a little bewildering, they can be strange, and in fact even can be insulting. So brokers are asking me to pass on my experience and be able to teach you about what's going on the buyer side of the fence so that when you get the deal that they're proposing, you understand it instead of being frustrated or insulted by it. So what are the details of what I'm going to cover? Well, I'm going to use the analogy of a bridge. You're on one river bank, the buyer's on another river bank, and you want to build a bridge. From your perspective, there's a certain way that you want the deal to go. Maybe it's 100% of cash at closing. But the buyer is on the other river bank, and they can see what will or won't work to be able to get it through the water and onto their side of the shore. And so there's 6 pillars of a bridge that I'm going to talk about. The first pillar is time. How 12 months, 4 seasons, and one really bad problem called a board of directors can really influence the timing of a deal and why a buyer is structuring the deal accordingly. Second is how cash may or may not be an easy thing to pull together. You know, we as sellers love to have bags of cash at closing, but as a buyer, they're not carrying around truckloads worth of cash just to dump out. So they're going to look at it and how do they structure cash versus other monetary value to hand over to you at the day of closing, much less maybe a year or two afterwards. So we'll talk about the pillar of money. Now, the next 3 pillars of building the bridge on the deal is the structure of you as the seller. You and I, as sellers of our companies, are influencing what happens with the company after the close. And there's 3 pillars. One is the non-competes. The buyer wants to make sure that we're not going to just turn around and compete right against them in the same territory, in the same industry. So there's going to be things in the deal that are going to interact with that, including some financial compensation. Secondly is earnouts. Why are they putting earnouts in there? Why do they want 6 months, 12 months, 3 years worth of earnouts? So I'll explain that. And then also is holdbacks. Why do they want to hold some of the money back for a period of time? I'll go into all of those. I've had to deal with them when I've sold my businesses, so I'm going to give you some insights on how to do it. The 6th pillar is being able to understand what the risks are that the buyer's seeing and why the buyer is proposing certain dynamics to address those risks. So with those 6 pillars in mind, I'm going to be able to teach you how to pay attention to them from the buyer's perspective, so when the deal shows up, instead of getting frustrated and trying to figure out whether this deal is ever going to happen, you're going to be able to turn it around. Instead of a knife at a gunfight, you're going to turn it around with a large cannon and be able to negotiate what you want out of the deal, because you're going to understand the buyer's perspective and therefore leverage that motivation for your best deal.